In Umudara, elders can warn you, mothers can advise you, and still, a jealous heart can decide to walk its own road. Ugo had reached that point, and the village did not know that the real danger was not outside. It was inside the same house. A few days after the elders' visit, Mama Ejiro sent Ugo to fetch water in the late afternoon. Usually, Veronica would go too, but that day, Veronica was busy helping an elderly woman in the compound. Ugo walked alone, and as she walked, she carried anger like a hidden knife. She kept thinking about the way people now looked at Veronica with new respect. She kept thinking about the prince's calm voice. She kept thinking about the shame of being ignored. In her heart, she concluded that life was unfair. And if life was unfair, then she too would be unfair in return. At the stream, the air was cooler. Women were washing clothes and talking. Ugo greeted them, but her mind was elsewhere. As she filled her pot, she noticed a woman sitting slightly away from the others under a small tree. The woman was old, but not the kind of old that makes you feel safe. Her eyes were sharp, and her face looked like it had seen too many secrets. Ugo did not recognize her as someone from Umudara, but she also could not ignore her presence. The old woman called Ugo softly, using her name as if they were familiar. Ugo paused, surprised, and walked closer. The old woman asked why a beautiful girl like Ugo looked heavy-hearted. Ugo replied that she was fine, but the old woman smiled as if she could see through lies. She said that in villages, people pretend, but the spirits do not pretend. She said that she had heard about the prince choosing the wrong twin, and she asked if Ugo was going to accept it quietly. Ugo felt her chest tighten because she did not know how this stranger knew such things. She asked the old woman who she was. The woman laughed softly and said names do not matter when the problem is bigger than names. Ugo, driven by jealousy, began to talk. She said it was not right. She said the village always praised her, and now, suddenly, the prince was acting as if Veronica was special. She said Veronica did not deserve it. She said she wanted what belonged to her. The old woman listened without interrupting. Then she leaned closer and said something that entered Ugo's mind like a seed. She said that some people are chosen not because they are good, but because they carry a mark that attracts certain destinies. She said Veronica might be carrying such a mark, and if Ugo truly wanted to stop the marriage, she would need to know what that mark was. Ugo asked how she could know. The old woman said there are things done at night that eyes are not meant to see, and that is why warnings exist. She said the prince would surely have rules, and rules are often doors hiding secrets. She advised Ugo to watch quietly and not act too quickly. Then she told Ugo one strange thing, that twins share more than blood, they share spiritual balance, and when one twin tries to destroy the other out of jealousy, the balance can turn and swallow them both. The old woman ended by saying Ugo should choose wisely. Then she stood up and walked away into the bush path, leaving Ugo staring. Ugo carried her pot home, but the water felt heavy. Her jealousy now had direction. She was no longer only angry, she was curious. And curiosity in folk tales is often the rope that pulls people into trouble. As the marriage talks continued, preparations began slowly. Mama Ejiro started receiving visitors who came to greet Veronica and pretend they always loved her. Veronica responded politely, but she did not allow it to enter her head. She remained calm, and that calmness made people even more confused because they expected her to become proud. Prince Oni visited sometimes, never too loudly, never too often, but always with purpose. He did not come to play. He came to understand Veronica and to allow her to understand him, at least the part of him he wanted her to know. One evening, Prince Oni came and asked Veronica to take a short walk with him near the edge of the village, where palm trees lined the path and the air smelt like evening firewood. Mama Ejiro allowed it, but she sent a young boy to walk at a distance as tradition demanded. Veronica and Prince Oni walked slowly, and Prince Oni spoke about life in a simple way, not like a man trying to impress, but like a man trying to speak truth. He said he had traveled and seen many things. He said he had met people who looked perfect outside but were empty inside. He also said he had met people the world mocked, yet those people carried strong hearts. Veronica listened, feeling both comfort and fear. Prince Oni's calmness made her feel safe, but some of his words sounded like he knew more than he was saying. At some point, he stopped walking and faced her. He told her that if she agreed to become his wife, she must understand that his life carries rules that many people would not understand. Veronica asked what kind of rules. Prince Oni said, "There is a path that leads beyond the village boundary, a path people call the midnight path. He said he sometimes must walk that path alone, and when he walks it, nobody must follow, not even his wife. He said it is not because he wants to hide women or commit evil, but because some things are not meant for ordinary eyes." He ended the warning with a simple sentence: "If you follow me on that path, you may return physically, but life will not recognize you the same way again." Veronica felt cold. She asked why such a rule was necessary. Prince Oni did not explain fully. He simply said, the village knows some rules and forgets others, and that not every rule is for punishment. Some rules are for protection. Veronica nodded slowly. She did not want to argue with a prince, but deep in her mind, the warning entered and stayed. She remembered the old tree she once got lost near and the voice she had as a child. She began to suspect that her life might have been connected to hidden things long before now. Unknown to them, Ugo was not far away. She had followed from a distance, hiding behind trees when necessary. She was careful not to be seen. She watched the two of them stop and talk. She watched Prince Oni speak seriously. She watched Veronica's face change. She could not hear every word, but she saw enough to know that a rule had been given. Ugo's heart beat fast. The old woman's words returned to her mind. Rules hide secrets. In that moment, Ugo decided she would not rest until she knew what Prince Oni was hiding, because she believed the secret would give her a way to stop the marriage and regain what she felt was taken from her. The first time Ugo tried to follow Prince Oni at night, she did not tell herself that she was doing something wrong. She told herself she was only trying to protect her family. That is how many people enter trouble, by dressing their jealousy in the clothes of concern. Veronica had already told Mama Ejiro about the midnight path warning because Veronica was not the kind of girl who hid important things from her mother. Mama Ejiro was disturbed when she heard it. She knew Umudara had old paths and old stories. She knew there were places elders warned children not to visit at night. Mama Ejiro advised Veronica to respect the rule. She told her that not every question needs an answer, especially in a village where spiritual matters are real. Veronica agreed because she wanted peace more than curiosity. Ugo heard this conversation too, and the warning only made her more determined. To her, the warning was proof that Prince Oni was hiding something that could disgrace Veronica and stop the marriage and regain what she felt was taken from her. She began to watch Prince Oni's movements. Whenever he visited, she paid attention to the time he left. Whenever she heard palace attendants talk, she listened with sharp ears. After some days, she noticed a pattern. Sometimes Prince Oni would leave the palace side late, walking quietly toward the boundary area, with no attendants following him. It did not happen every night, but it happened enough for Ugo to plan. One night, when the moon was bright but the village was quiet, Ugo covered herself with a dark cloth and slipped out of the compound. She moved like someone used to hiding. She avoided barking dogs. She avoided people sitting outside. Her heart beat fast, but she felt bold. She reached the edge of the village and waited behind a tree. After some time, she saw a figure moving on the path. The figure was Prince Oni. He was walking calmly, not rushing, but also not looking back. He moved as if he knew exactly where he was going and did not fear the night. Ugo began to follow at a distance, stepping carefully so dry leaves would not betray her. As they moved farther from the village houses, the air changed. It became cooler and heavier, and even the night insects sounded different. Ugo noticed that the path seemed familiar, like a path she had seen in childhood stories, the kind elders mention when warning children. She also noticed something else. The prince was not carrying a lamp, yet his steps were sure, as if the darkness respected him. At some point, Prince Oni stopped briefly and looked to the side, not directly at Ugo, but in the direction where she was hiding. Ugo's body froze. She held her breath and pressed herself closer to the tree. The prince stood still for a moment, then continued walking. Ugo waited, then followed again. As the path narrowed, she saw something ahead that made her stomach tighten. It looked like a place where the earth was different, where trees grew in a circle, and where the ground seemed smoother than the rest of the bush. She could not explain it, but her body felt warning. Still, she moved forward because jealousy does not listen to fear. As she stepped into the edge of that strange space, the wind suddenly rose, not like normal wind, but like a breath that noticed her presence. Ugo felt cold on her skin, and the hairs on her arms stood. She told herself to continue, but her legs weakened. Then she heard a sound, not a voice, not a shout, but something like a whispering hush that seemed to say one thing clearly: not you. In that moment, Ugo realized she had entered a place where her beauty meant nothing, and she was not welcome. The morning after Ugo followed Prince Oni, she woke up with her chest feeling tight, as if the night had tied something around her heart. She did not scream, she did not run outside. She simply sat on her mat and stared at her hands for a long time because she could still feel that strange wind on her skin. She remembered the whisper clearly, the one that sounded like it came from the trees, from the air, from the ground itself. Not you. Those words did not sound like an insult, but they carried rejection in a way she had never felt before. For the first time in her life, Ugo understood that some places do not care about beauty, and some powers do not bow to pride. She tried to act normal, but her mind kept returning to the strange circle of trees and the way the darkness felt heavy around it. She also remembered the way Prince Oni paused, as if he sensed someone behind him. That memory made her fear grow. She wondered if he truly knew she followed. She wondered if she had crossed a line that cannot be forgiven. In a village like Umudara, warnings are not given for decoration. They are given because certain mistakes bring consequences that do not announce themselves loudly. Sometimes, the consequence arrives slowly, like a sickness that starts small and becomes serious. Veronica noticed Ugo's mood that morning. Even though Ugo was often proud, she was not usually quiet in that way. She looked like someone carrying a secret that was too heavy. Veronica asked her gently if she was fine. Ugo answered quickly that she was fine and told Veronica to mind her business. Veronica did not push. She was already dealing with her own fear. Since Prince Oni gave her the rule of the midnight path, she had been thinking deeply. She had told Mama Ejiro, and Mama Ejiro had advised her to respect it.
Veronica agreed, but deep down, she wondered why she was being pulled into a life that came with spiritual warnings. She wanted love and peace, not mystery and fear. When Prince Oni visited later that week, Veronica watched him carefully. His face was calm as usual. He greeted Mama Ejiro respectfully and asked after her health. He spoke to Veronica with kindness, but Veronica noticed that his eyes sometimes looked beyond her, like a man hearing something others cannot hear. At one point, Veronica almost asked him about the midnight path, but the words refused to leave her mouth. Something told her not to ask too much. Prince Oni did not speak about it either. It was as if he had placed the warning and sealed it. Ugo sat nearby, pretending to be busy, but her eyes were watching every movement. She was waiting for a sign that the prince suspected her. She was waiting for punishment to fall. But the prince spoke calmly and left when he was done, like the night before did not exist. That silence confused Ugo. It also made her angry again, because it meant her secret was still inside her with nowhere to go. That night, Veronica prayed quietly. She asked God to guide her. She asked the ancestors of the land to keep her safe. She asked for a simple life. But even as she prayed, she felt that something was already moving, like a river that has chosen its direction. The village thought the story was about a prince choosing the wrong twin. But the truth was, something deeper had already started long ago, and the path Ugo touched in the forest was only the beginning of what would soon come into the open. As days passed, the marriage steps continued in the way Umudara respected. People brought small gifts, elders visited again, Mama Ejiro prepared food and received greetings. Women came to look at Veronica with new eyes, and some of them even tried to befriend her, as if closeness to her would bring them luck. Veronica received everybody with simple respect, but she did not allow the sudden attention to change her. She had lived too long as the girl everyone mocked. She knew how quickly human behavior can change when someone's story improves. And she also knew that the same people praising her today could turn against her tomorrow if they felt threatened. Prince Oni came with a small engagement gift, including cloth, kola nut, and other items meant to show seriousness. The elders spoke about peace and agreement. Veronica sat inside listening, her heart beating fast, but steady. Mama Ejiro was careful. She asked questions, the way a mother should. She wanted to be sure her daughter would be safe. Prince Oni answered respectfully, but he did not explain everything. He spoke about love, honor, and responsibility. Then he said again, in a calm but firm way, that Veronica must respect his rule about the midnight path. He said it in front of elders this time, so everyone would know it was not a casual warning. Some elders nodded slowly, as if they understood the kind of thing he was talking about. Ugo's heart burned as she listened. In her mind, the rule was still a secret door she needed to open. Since the first night she followed him, she had been restless. The rejection she felt in that forest did not humble her. It only made her more determined to prove she could not be pushed aside. She began to tell herself that the spirits rejected her because she did not enter properly. She convinced herself that if she tried again with more boldness, she would see the truth fully. One night, she left the house again. This time, she did not just follow Prince Oni. She tried to enter the strange space before he arrived, thinking she could hide and watch from inside. But the forest was not asleep. The moment she stepped close to that circle again, her skin felt cold. She heard the same wind. She felt the same warning. Still, she moved forward. That was her second mistake, and it was worse than the first. As she stepped, she suddenly felt the ground under her feet become soft in a strange way, like wet clay, even though it had not rained. Her legs sank slightly, and she struggled to pull it out. In that struggle, she heard the whisper again, clearer this time, almost like a voice that was not happy with her stubbornness. Not you. Not you. Ugo tried to run, but her legs felt heavy. She fell forward and scraped her palm. Then, like a sudden release, the heaviness stopped and she was able to stand and rush away. She returned home shaking, her wrapper dusty, her palm bleeding. She washed the wound quietly and covered it. Nobody saw her. Nobody asked questions. In the morning, her palm was not swelling the way a normal wound should. Instead, it looked dry, pale, and cold. Ugo felt fear, but she pushed it away with pride. She told herself it was nothing. But even as she said that, a strange thing began. People started overlooking her greetings, not every time, but sometimes. A woman she greeted in the market nodded at her friend and walked past, as if she did not hear. Ugo felt her face hot with anger. She stepped closer, thinking maybe they were insulting her on purpose. She called a woman by name, but the woman turned and looked behind Ugo, not at Ugo, as if Ugo's voice came from the air. Ugo walked away, insulted and embarrassed. On her way home, she greeted a man she knew very well. The man responded to someone else walking behind her and did not respond to her. Ugo stopped and looked back. Nobody was behind her that time. She called the man again. He turned, looked in her direction with empty eyes, then asked, "Who is calling me?" Ugo's heart dropped. This was no longer simple disrespect. This was something strange. At home, she tried to laugh it off. She told herself people were distracted, but the same pattern continued. Children began to run past her without moving aside. A small boy bumped into her, fell, then got up and ran away without apologizing, as if he did not even notice he hit someone. When Ugo complained to her mother, Mama Ijiro said maybe Ugo was too proud and people were tired of her behavior. Ugo wanted to shout that this was not about pride, but she kept quiet because she did not want her mother to suspect anything. Then, the worst part started. It was not only that people ignored her greetings, it was that some people began to behave as if they could not fully see her. One evening, she sat with a group of girls, and as they discussed marriage preparations, nobody asked for her opinion. When she spoke, the conversation continued as if she did not speak. At first, she thought they were trying to embarrass her, so she stood up and walked away. But as she walked away, she heard one of the girls say, "Why are we quiet? Who stopped talking?" The other girl replied, "Nobody stopped talking." That was when Ugo realized they truly did not notice her movement. Ugo began to fear herself. She started looking into water surfaces and mirror-like objects to confirm she was still there. She could see herself. Her face was still her face. Her body was still her body. But something felt wrong. It felt like her presence did not land in people's minds the way it used to. She became angry, then desperate. She tried to dress better, tried to talk louder, tried to force people to notice her again. But the more she tried, the more empty it became. Attention that once followed her like perfume now slipped away like smoke. Meanwhile, Veronica's marriage preparations increased. People came to greet. Prince Oni visited. The compound became busier. And the painful thing for Ugo was that while Veronica's life was becoming fuller, Ugo's life was becoming quieter in a strange way. Not the quietness of peace, but the quietness of someone fading away. She could not tell anyone the truth because she knew deep down that the midnight path had heard her footsteps and it was now answering her slowly. The festive, high-energy wedding day arrived with excitement in Umudara, the kind that makes even bitter people smile because celebrations bring food and music. Mama Ejiro woke early and prepared the compound. Women arrived to help with cooking, men arranged chairs and cleared the space. Drummers began to test their drums.
All right, everyone, let's get this celebration ready.
Veronica sat inside as women dressed her and spoke words of advice. Some of those women were the same ones who mocked her in the past, but now they spoke sweetly. as if time had never happened. Veronica listened respectfully, but she did not forget. She understood people better than they understood themselves.
There, it's looking beautiful. Yes, a perfect fit for you.
Ugo was in the compound too, but her experience that day was painful, in a quiet way. She moved around trying to help, but people gave her no task. She carried a bowl, and someone collected it from her hand without looking at her face. She stood among women, and they arranged themselves without making space for her. She went to sit with a group, and nobody turned to greet her properly. At some point, she sat alone under a small shade and watched the celebration like an outsider watching through a window. She felt anger rise, then sadness. For the first time, she realized that her punishment was not loud. It was slow, silent, and shameful.
When Prince Oni arrived with his people, the compound became even more alive. His attendants carried gifts. Elders welcomed him. Drummers beat harder. The groom, Prince Oni, looked calm as usual. He greeted Mama Ejiro and the elders, then asked for Veronica. Veronica came out dressed beautifully and the crowd cheered. People shouted praises for her. Some women even shouted that Umudara is a land of blessings. The irony was painful, but the crowd did not understand irony. They only understood enjoyment. Ugo stood at the back and watched her twin sister become the center of the village. In her heart, she expected that at least Veronica would look for her, call her, or pull her close because they were twins. Veronica did look around briefly, and her eyes passed over Ugo's direction. For a second, Ugo thought Veronica saw her, but Veronica's eyes moved away as if the space was empty. That moment broke Ugo in a way she could not explain. It was not just that the village was forgetting her. It was that her own twin sister, the one who shared her womb, could no longer hold her in clear sight. Ugo stood up quickly and walked away from the crowd, afraid someone might notice tears in her eyes, even though nobody seemed to notice her at all. She walked behind the house and sat down. She pressed her hands on her face, trying to breathe. She whispered Veronica's name, but the sound felt weak. It was as if the world was swallowing her voice. She looked at her palms and remembered the cold wound that never swelled. She remembered the whisper saying, "Not you." She finally understood that what was happening was beyond village behavior. It was spiritual. After the wedding, Veronica prepared to leave Umudara with Prince Oni. Tradition demanded farewells, blessings, advice from elders, and long emotional moments. Mama Ejiro cried quietly because any mother would cry when her daughter leaves home, even when the daughter is leaving to a good place. Veronica hugged her mother and promised she would not forget her. She spoke kindly, grateful, and simple. She greeted elders respectfully and received blessings. People followed her with their eyes as she walked, proud of the story they now claimed as their own, even though they once tried to bury her with mockery. Ugo watched everything from a distance. She wanted to speak to Veronica alone. She wanted to apologize, not because she suddenly became holy, but because fear had humbled her. She wanted to tell Veronica that something was wrong with her, something she could not explain. She even tried to step forward once, but as she moved, people crossed her path as if she was not there. A woman carried a bowl and almost hit her. A child ran through her space, laughing. Ugo stopped again. She realized her chance was passing. Soon Veronica would be gone, and Ugo would remain in Umudara like a spirit nobody names. That evening, when the final farewell was done, and Prince Oni's people were ready to depart, Veronica did something small but important. She paused near the entrance of the compound and looked around again as if she felt a missing space in her heart. She frowned, then asked Mama Ejiro where Ugo was. Mama Ejiro answered that Ugo was probably around, But she had been behaving strangely lately. Veronica's face tightened. She called Ugo's name once, then twice. No reply came. It was not because Ugo was not there. Ugo was standing behind a tree, listening, with tears rolling down her face. It was because something had reduced her presence, so her reply did not travel the way it should. Prince Oni stepped closer to Veronica and spoke quietly. He told her not to worry. He told her that some people choose their own road, and roads have consequences. Veronica looked at him confused and afraid, but she nodded. As they left Umudara, Veronica looked back one last time, still feeling that missing space, but unable to hold it clearly. Then they disappeared down the path, and Umudara continued with its life, as villages always do, eating, talking, laughing, and forgetting. Days later, Ugo tried to return to normal life, but normal life refused her. People did not greet her. People did not ask after her. When she spoke, conversation moved past her words. When she entered a room, people did not shift. Sometimes, she would be standing near a group and hear someone ask, "Who left this pot here?" even when she was the one holding the pot. Slowly, even her close friends stopped mentioning her name, not because they were wicked, but because their minds could not hold her clearly. Mama Ijiro became worried when she noticed Ugo's silence and sadness. She tried to speak to her, but Ugo could not explain the midnight path because she knew speaking it might make it worse. One night, Mama Ijiro woke up and found Ugo's mat empty. She searched the compound. She searched the backyard. She called her name. No answer came. In the morning, villagers joined in the search, but it was not a serious search because people did not feel the urgency. It was as if the village itself did not remember what it was searching for. Years later, Umudara still tells the story, but the story is never told exactly the same way. Some people say the jealous twin ran mad. Some say she entered the forest and never came back. Some say she turned into a wandering spirit. But the elders, when they want to warn young people about jealousy and pride, say one proverb softly. In Umudara, when you step where you are warned not to step, you may return with your body, but you may not return with your place in people's minds. And when a young girl becomes too proud and too cruel, elders still whisper, "Do not become like Ugo, the twin Umudara forgot."